that music. Had my toes tapping. So good morning. Well, here we are once again, taking this opportunity to connect this Sunday morning through our Zoom worship service. Now we may be apart, but we are certainly not alone. So this is a full community service, meaning all the young folks are encouraged to sit in and participate. So we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where it is our mission to grow together in love, faith, justice, and joy. So my name is Dave Bianchi, and I'm serving as your worship associate this morning. You know, we've asked everyone to stay home and view us on your personal devices, but know that we still welcome all to be part of us, regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Now, if you're someone who's just viewing this and it's your first exposure to us, feel free to contact our office or our website for more information. It's also where you can download a newcomer form. You can sign up for our newsletter that keeps you informed of all the great activities that happen at UUFNN. So thank you. Thank you for being with us this morning. And now, Reverend Karen.
Happy Easter and welcome. How wonderful it is to see your faces on this beautiful morning. If you're new to Zoom, I have a couple of tips for you this morning that may help your presence to our service today. If you run your cursor over the outside of your screen, you will see a choice of speaker view or gallery view. If you click speaker view, you'll be able to see all of the presenters and they will fill your screen. If you're on gallery view, I know that you will want to see all of the folks who are gathering with us today. You'll remain muted throughout the service, and you'll also notice something on your screen called chat. Feel free to make comments in the chat box, as many folks are doing. And if you click on chat, you can open that box and you can type a comment in at the bottom. We'll be using the chat box for our time of prayer and meditation to express our joys and concerns. You may have heard in the media that there are some folks out there who are wanting to disrupt services with hate speech. If we were to get interrupted, we will use our power to seem gathered here, and we will eradicate them from our gathering. We have many things of prevention in place, and so there's not a large chance that that will happen. But if it does, be patient, know that we're working on it, and we will do our best to take care of the problem. At the end of our service, we'll invite you into small groups for conversation and visiting in our coffee hour. So you're welcome to stay on for a little bit after our service for that opportunity. We're so glad you're here this morning. Welcome.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
We open our hearts and our minds and our spirits to being connected this morning wherever we are and learning to connect in new ways. I invite you this morning to get comfortable, take a few deep breaths, and settle in for a short while. You're invited to bring your chalice into your frame. If you have your chalice there at home, and we'll light together our chalices. Through the mystery of time and space, through the connection of community, may the light and warmth of our chalices reach us all wherever we are and remind us that we are each loved and that we are all connected. Since prehistoric times, people have celebrated the equinoxes and the solstices as sacred times. The spring equinox is when the amount of darkness and light come back into balance. Bunnies are left over from the pagan festival of the goddess Estra. And she is a great northern goddess whose symbol was a rabbit or a hare. The exchange of eggs, which was a symbol of fertility, is also an ancient custom celebrated by many cultures. You may be familiar with hot cross buns. Well, the hot cross buns are ancient too. And in fact, the early church clergy tried to put a stop to baking the hot cross buns because they were associated with the pagans. But in the end, in the face of defiant cake baking pagan women, those clergy gave up and blessed the cakes instead. It's interesting to note that in the ancient world, there were other parallel resurrected saviors other than Jesus. But following the advent of Christianity, the Easter period became associated with the resurrection of Jesus. In those first couple of centuries after Jesus' life, the feast days in the new Christian church were attached to the old pagan festivals in terms of timing on the calendar. And so over time, there became this mashup, if you will, of pagan and Christian elements. The spring festivals were a theme of new life and relief from cold, from the winter, and they became connected to Jesus having conquered death. And so we celebrate Easter as renewal, as hope, as light from darkness. We sow seeds, we tend crops, we watch the flowers bloom each year around Easter, knowing that the sun is born again out of dark and life goes on. And today, even in these days of pandemic, spring still arrives with longer days and more sunlight, and Mother Earth herself is healing from damage and awakening once again. Rosie has a special presentation about the goddess Estra.
So I originally composed this song as a piece for a springtime song for the god Freyr. But this year, I just kept feeling more of a feminine energy to this song, so I have replaced the words and title of the deity to Estra. And I feel like that is really appropriate for me in my life right now as well. Finding that femininity, clinging to it, allowing it to be my power. So with that, I will sing you my song. Deep in the winding wood, a spirit is calling. Along the trail stirs the mist of change. Come hear the voices as they echo together. Deep in the forest halls of Estra. Melting waters, flowing waters, spring are growing with her new life. She is the bringer of the next generations. She is the goddess of the wild and the free. Come smell the blossoms of her colorful harvest. Deep in the meadow, see her thrive. Birds are singing, women rejoicing in the birth pains of Mother Earth. Let Estra's fertile waters give every mother a promise of her line to testify. They are the keepers of our future descendants, her blood entwined within our heart. Hail Estra, hail Estra, hail Estra, mother of new life.
Wow. Thank you very much, Rosie. That was beautiful. Thank you. You know, this is the time in our service when we have an opportunity to share our bounty with each other. And, you know, since we're not physically together to pass the basket, we can do it virtually by texting, as you see on the screen, 73256. So you put UUFNN in the message box and hit send, and then you just follow the instructions to provide your offering. You know, we can also send you an automatic draft authorization form. That's really a simple way to help. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way. You can mail a check to the office at 780 Del Monte Lane, Reno 89511. So I hope this is starting to work for you. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact the office. You know, this is a difficult time for all of us, but our fellowship is just pulled together in some amazing ways. I just want to personally thank all the volunteers who have done so much to keep us in touch with one another. You know, the staff, they're just working overtime, pulling everything together. It's amazing what the work they're doing. So I'm proud of Reverend Karen, realizing early on that we needed to protect ourselves by doing our services remotely. You know, I believe it's making our fellowship even stronger. So much goes on behind the scenes. We're still doing good in the world. So I've been putting out an appeal for the last few weeks for those of us that can afford it to pay off our pledge early and maybe even add some additional contributions to keep those wheels turning as we work together through this difficult time. You know, many of you responded, and I encourage more of us to do the same to help out those who may be left behind during this time. Also, if you haven't yet completed your pledge, I think there's just still a few of you out there. Would you please do that as soon as possible? We're very, very close to reaching our goal. And I'm feeling positive that all of us stepping up will be stronger than ever. So I just thank you. And thank you for joining Lois and me in taking care of our beloved community. And now let the offering begin. Well, I'd like you to join me as we bless these offerings to the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
As I begin my reflection this morning, I'd like to read some excerpts from one of my favorite poets, John O'Donohue, a poem of his entitled "For the Interim Time." No place looks like itself. Loss of outline makes everything look strangely in between, unsure of what has been or what might come. The path you took to get here is washed out. The way forward is still concealed from you. You cannot lay claim to anything. In this place of dusk, your eyes are blurred and there is no mirror. Everyone has lost sight of your heart and you can see nowhere to put your trust. You know you have to make your own way through. As far as you can, hold your confidence. Do not allow your confusion to squander this call, which is loosening your roots in false ground, that you might come free from all you have outgrown. What is being transfigured here is your mind, and it is difficult and slow to become new. The more faithfully you can endure here, the more refined your heart will become for your arrival in the new dawn. Indeed, my friends, a new dawn is coming. A new dawn is coming. The earth is waking up and we are awakening. On this Easter Sunday, there are many ways to look at resurrection. And no matter what you think happened in that traditional Easter story or didn't happen, that's not the critical issue. What is important is that the cycle of life and death and life is real. Resurrection can be a metaphor for life and death and life. And the truth is, and perhaps what we're learning even now, is that there cannot be resurrection without Good Friday. In some ways, we're living in the Good Friday now, on our way to new life, to awakening, to spring, blossoming, and bursting forth. I challenge us to open our eyes anew to see the awakening that is beginning all around us. There is evidence. People are testing negative. People are recovering from COVID-19. In India, it was reported this week that they can see the Himalayas from India for the first time in 30 years. Many shifts and awakenings are happening. Farm workers have gone from being undocumented to being indispensable. Other hourly workers are being valued more. And a few days ago in federal court, it was ruled that the Dakota Access Pipeline would require much more review to go forward, a major victory. We are awakening and we're coming to understand the value of human connection, maybe more than we ever have in our lives. There's this concept that Anne Lamott talks about, one of my favorite spiritual authors. And she says that sometimes when we're going through difficulties, that is to create a distraction so that something new can be born. Perhaps we're going through such a time on our way to awakening. In these days, our faith calls us to live into the awakening of this time, live into possibility, into the transformation that is already on its way. Beloved, know that an awakening is happening inside you, inside each of us, even and especially in this time of grief and frustration and loss and uncertainty. And we have to have all those feelings that we're going through. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I know it's uncomfortable. It's scary. But just as assuredly as a seed is nurtured in the darkness of the earth and held and sprouts with new life, that process is happening in each one of us so that we can burst forth into a new day. Can you feel the vibration of the earth healing and waking up? Of all of us waking up? Can you feel the expectancy and the possibility? Let's nurture it. Let's water it with all that we have during this time. Some of us may not be able to quite feel it yet, and that's okay. We know it has begun. We know that it is on its way. So we look around for the evidence to what we can see. Can you imagine what it must be like to be in India right now? I just can't get that image out of my head. It has meant so much to me this week. Children and teenagers who have never before seen the Himalayas, even young adults, are seeing those beautiful mountains from the first time in India. If the Easter story offers us anything, it is this. We can't quite fully live into resurrection without Good Friday. Seeds cannot blossom and bloom without being nurtured and held in the earth, quiet and alone for a time. The paradox of this time is this, that even as we move through these days of separation and isolation and missing our friends and family and coworkers, it is also nurturing a new day. We are preparing for a new way, a new birthing of humankind, a new relationship with our Mother Earth. So on this Easter, may we have eyes to see and a willing and open heart to fully participate in the great awakening. Blessed be. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart the stirrings of compassion, blowing the wind, rising the sea, moving We open our hearts and our minds and join them together in this time of community prayer and meditation. We remember this morning all of those who are on the front lines, grocery store workers, people who clean hospital rooms, farm workers. We remember today those who have experienced loss. We remember those who are ill. And we hold them in our hearts. We give thanks for the opportunity to connect in this seemingly miraculous way where we can see one another and hold one another. You're invited now to take a few moments and type into the chat space your concerns, your celebrations, your joys, your worries, your fears. And in that way, we can share the deepest words from our hearts together. We gather all of our joys and concerns, our fears and our worries, and those that are held in the deepest of places without words. And we hold them together in the heart of love. May we hold together, along with our meditations and prayers, this intention and this mindset by Dorset Campbell Ross. When you go out and see the empty streets, the empty stadiums, the empty train stations, don't say to yourself, it looks like the end of the world. What you're seeing is love in action. What you're seeing in that negative space is how much we do care for each other, for our grandparents, for our immunocompromised siblings, for people we will never meet. People will lose their jobs over this. Some will lose their businesses and some their lives. All the more reason to take a moment when you're out on a walk or on your way to the store to look into that emptiness and marvel at all of that love. Let it fill you and sustain you. It isn't the end of the world. It is the most remarkable act of global solidarity that we may ever witness. Blessed be, and amen. Spirit of light, come. In these days, I really miss you, and I'm so happy to see you all this morning. Just a couple of reminders to you. Please do remember to check your email, especially on Mondays, for all of the programming that will happen during that week. We have new information and new programming being put into place each week. So please do avail yourself to those opportunities for connection. One of the new opportunities that we have starting this week is a Spanish conversational opportunity, and that will help us get even more ready for our justice immigration work when we return. So you're invited to be part of those conversations, to learn and to brush up on your Spanish, and that will be facilitated by Xiomara Rodriguez and Jane Dunn, and you can look for that information in your emails. If you need help with Zoom, or if you know someone who does, you can type into the chat box and we will get some help to those who need it so that folks can continue to stay connected and can connect and avail yourselves of all of the opportunities that we have available. If you're not receiving our emails, type your address into the chat box and we'll see that you get added to our email list. And also, I want you to know that our justice work and our feeding our hungry neighbors continues. And you can help with that by being a part of the posse activities, by cooking and by leaving some juice boxes in the bin outside the fellowship when you do your shopping. I also wanted to let you know that our spring auction will go on. It's on May 8th on Friday evening. We're going to gather much like this. We're going to bid on some items live, and there will be a silent auction that you can participate via email. It's going to be great, grand fun in famous UUFNN style. The theme is Aloha Spirit. We'll participate in that spirit together. You should be receiving some emails about that so that you can think creatively about what you would like to contribute and how you would like to participate. It's an important community event and financial event for the life of our community, and it is a great, fun event for us to look forward to in these days. You'll be invited to stay online just after our service for small groups and for conversation. Please do let us know if you know of anyone who is feeling isolated and needs connection, and we will be sure to reach out to them. You can share our worship link with family and friends so that anyone who needs this on Sunday morning can fully participate. We'd like to expand our outreach and have new folks joining us when we're finally able to come back together. Our closing song today is by Emma's Revolution, and it's their tribute to Pete Seeger, but I have found it particularly poignant for this Easter Sunday. You're invited to sing along.
When I was 4, I had a toy made of plastic and of joy, a magic musical machine from a drum, a stick and strings. I couldn't know as I would play, I'd live to meet the man one day, playing so. When I was 4, I had a toy made of plastic and of joy, a magic musical machine from a drum, a stick and strings. I couldn't know as I would play, I'd live to meet the man one day, playing songs that shaped my life and taught the world to sing. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people, sing. The summer of my 18th year, in San Francisco he'd appear. I jumped onto a trolley car, alone and wondering. The grove was full when I got there. People came from everywhere. I climbed a redwood by the stage to watch the reveille. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Years went by, I got a call, a festival in early fall, along the Hudson River shore, a harvest gathering, asking me to volunteer to keep the river clean and clear, to celebrate the river's life and all the gifts she brings. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Stood up to McCarthy's rage, rallied for a living wage, rode with Woody, marched with Dr. King. He patiently brought us along, taught us each and every song. Told you by your side, you could do almost anything. You showed us how the world could be, living with integrity. Together we create a force beyond imagining. As I observed your dimming light, felt a spark in me ignite, and I would trade it all today to hear your banjo ring. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people.
one final reminder, don't forget about the Easter egg hunt. There's a national Easter egg hunt online that you've received information about on your email, and it is for all ages. So have fun with that. Beloved, would you receive the blessing this morning? There is a great awakening happening within each of us, within all of humankind, all over the earth. Never forget that hope changes everything. So keep on singing. Sing, people sing. Blessed be and amen. Happy Easter.